All right, so let's talk about strong boxes. I recently ran this on stream. It got quite a few views. I'm sure whoever is interested in this farm has probably already seen the stream, but I wanted to make a video kind of giving a follow-up, maybe a breakdown of this entire stream into a consolidated short video that's a little more consumable. Mostly what I'm making the video for is for newer players. In the title of this stream, I say that I am running a 3 mirror idle set. Now, this almost all of this idle set is completely fluff. Most of it came from the Scarabs. It is absolutely not needed to spend this kind of currency to get basically 95% of the results. The Scarabs are a complete waste. I knew that going in, but we're at the end of the league. I had a lot of currency, and I just wanted to make a cool looking idle set. But uh, I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned and maybe help some new players out that want to get into this and don't have 3 mirrors to spend. I promise you, you don't need anywhere close to that. So let's get into it. We'll talk a bit about the idols and how you can kind of recreate this. If you haven't already seen the stream, I put a bunch of timestamps in here. I went through and selected a lot of the important stuff. There's probably some other things in here. I can't watch an entire 6 hour stream to timestamp the whole thing, but I did get a lot in there that I think is some important info. But I'll try to, like I said, consolidate it all down into something easier to watch. A lot of people are saying, okay, you've done this. Now, why not try T17? It's so much better. Let's do T17. We need to understand the reasons why this is doing so well. It's doing so well because the Scarabs are like almost free. It's something, the discernments keep dropping in price. They're like 6 chaos each. The ambushes are like 1. The potency is 1. It is almost free to open these maps, and I'm getting about 2 divine a map on average after I looked at the results of everything. So it's a cost versus reward kind of thing, right? If I were to go into T17s, like, yes, maybe I could drop 7 divines in a map. Woohoo, that's great. And then you look at your costs and you spent 6 divines to get those. It becomes not worth it. Also, it took you 9 minutes to run the map instead of these where I'm getting 2 divine a map. The maps are free and it takes me 1 minute to run them. We need to understand like the core of why it's working the way it does in order to understand where the best in slot idols would be. Now, I'm going to do my best to give you a budget set that you can craft with much cheaper costs, but just know that I've only played with the sets that I have. I only have the sets that I have, so I'm just sort of hypothesizing, theorizing how I would go about this on a cheaper budget. What I think would be best if I were to do this again and I had a lot less currency. First and foremost, 5% quality or 3% quality per mod on the 8 mods. I do think that 3% quality per mod on the 8 mods is better on the high end. It'll give you more overall, but do keep in mind if you have the 5% quality per quality on the map, then it is still going to be very good. And the reason for that is because your map cost, your scarab cost is essentially free as it is with the other one, but also your map cost is essentially free. So every minute when you're opening one of these maps, you're not spending an extra 15 chaos, although the maps will, yield a little bit less because with the high end of both of those, the map quality one, you get 20% increased explicit effect, and with the 3% quality per 8 mods, you get 24 per idle. So, and then also it's 8 mods, so that also boosts the quantity. So it is better on the high end. But you do have to find the maps. My reasoning for doing the 5% per quality is that original video I did was targeted at new players, and I assume if you don't have a ton of currency for idols, you probably don't have a ton of currency for your build either, and then 8 mods are going to be a little more challenging to run if your build is a bit weaker. But both are very good. I think if you're looking for the end game version, you do want to go into the 8 mod, but the quality one is still going to pay you very well. I found 400 course locks off that one as well. I was making tons of currency. It was a very chill, relaxing strategy. I never had any downtime for maps other than like 20 minutes to roll a whole quad tab, and then I was good for like days. But yeah, 8 mod is where you want to be if you're trying to min max. Secondly, we'll talk about corrupting your boxes. Now, I thought this was completely bait going into this. When I initially did this farm, I was like, man, if I had to make a sacrifice on these idols, I think I would get rid of corrupt. I don't think it's actually doing all that much. And then I ran without it. I basically built the exact same idol set that I have now, minus the scarabs, but with the exact same increased explicit effect. And the only change I made was no corrupt. And I ran this for a lot of maps. And let me tell you, it was horrible. Now, there's a lot of people saying I'm an idiot and that it does nothing and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't increase the quantity. I don't actually know for sure. Unfortunately, there's really no way that I can without insane amounts of testing. Normally, the corrupt is just built into the boxes are rare Atlas node on the tree. But from my own personal anecdotal experience, I can tell you that I see significantly less affixes on the boxes, therefore giving me far less loot. It felt like I was dropping 3 times less loot not going with corrupt. So if it were my idols, I would put it on. There's no way in hell I would ever not put it on personally, but I cannot guarantee that it's actually doing anything and that I don't just have some placebo effect going on. Also, why not Jungle Valley? Why are you on Glacier? Jungle Valley is very good. I ran with it for a while. You get tons and tons of quantity alters. I would even say maybe if you have a very weak idol set, that the quantity alters would help bring your currency per map up. You know, if you're feeling like you're spending too much currency on each individual map and you're not getting enough rewards back to offset it, then I think Jungle Valley would be a great place for you to go until your idols improve. But the reason we are on Glacier is because these boxes are so absolutely front loaded that I can open so many within a single hour. I never go in the caves. I tried it a couple of times. She's a dirty liar. She never gives me anything. I'm not interested in the caves, even if only half or less of the boxes spawn up front. And the reason why is because there's some other factors, kind of like you just saw right there, actually. I'm bouncing between these two boxes and they're not opening. The boxes are a little buggy, and you'll see that frequently with like so many boxes in a map. It takes forever for them to reopen. And in Glacier, they're all so tight together that what I can do is I can bounce over to another box while I'm waiting for those like little weird times where it doesn't want to open, and I can just keep opening boxes. You can't do that on Jungle Valley. You're kind of just stuck waiting for the box to do its thing, and it just increases your time by a lot. So if we start thinking about it like that, I think if I were to make these idols again, where I would make the sacrifice is on Openable again. So we know the maps are very cheap, right? And we know that Openable again kind of makes them take a little bit longer and actually reduces the amount of boxes we're able to open per hour, basically. And so I think if I made a sacrifice and I rebuilt these idols, I would get explicit modifier on every single idol. I would get strong boxes are rare. I would get strong boxes are corrupted. I would get as many plus strong boxes as I could with all of that. And then lastly, I would put on strong boxes are openable again. And if I wasn't super wanting to waste currency like I did, then I would not go with 9%. It is absolutely not worth it. I think even doing like 20% openable again would be totally fine. 14% openable again would be totally fine. Like, I don't even know if you need openable again, if I'm being honest. With how cheap the maps are to open, you're not really losing anything by opening another one to just get a whole new set of strong boxes. But having the explicit makes each strong box that you open very, very impactful. So, just to reiterate, I only have the idols I have. I haven't tested the way I'm saying to do this. It's your currency. Make them how you want. But if it was me doing it again, that's how I would do it. And I'm not going to list out exactly what I just said again. I will put I'll put a pretty descriptive details of how I would make um, a lower end version of them within the details of this video. Now, after finishing this stream, if I take out the Hinocor's Lock, which I would be considered to be lucky, anything over 5 Divine, I consider to be a lucky drop. But if I remove all lucky drops and I do robot math, like if I'm running this off stream with basically like the Strongbox Opener 5000 that is the RF build that I am playing, you know, it's very fast. It's basically designed specifically just to do this. But with that build, playing like at perfect speeds, I can get around 89 an hour. This isn't perfect. I'm not going to really try to sell this number. Maybe it's 75, maybe it's 80. There's probably a couple of cards in here that are overvalued. I'm not really too worried about the Divine per hour. It's very high. And then if you add in the Hinocor's Locks or the Apothecaries or the House of Mirrors or any of the other things that are bound to happen for you when you start opening box after box, then you know the Divine per hour is going to go through the roof. Right, after the 6-hour stream, this is what I came out with. Now, I wasted a lot of time reading chat, talking to people, stopping to do other things. I calculated out that I could run this amount of maps if I just like went super dedicated into it. I could do it in about 4.5 hours roughly to get these results. And the 925 is with the locks, but the 413 is more accurate, and the total cost for all those maps is 37 divine. So it was around 385 divine or so in profit after somewhere in the 4 to 5 hour range, depending on build. And then any lucky drop on top of that, just skyrockets how much currency per hour you're making. To be honest, I don't really know if I have more to say about it than that. I think I just wanted to bring it attention to the details of the video to show like a text format of what I would do with an idol set. I know there's some newer players that want to get into this. If I had to make more sacrifices to the idols than what I'm going to list out, I think I would probably do number of strong boxes. I think the explicit, the rare, and the corrupted are like the top tier. Can't go without them, based on my experience. And then add in as many corrupt or as many strong boxes as you can, and then get openable again where you can. But trust me, the 9% isn't worth it, and I don't even think like I think you could do this without openable again, like entirely on a budget set. Honestly, that's kind of how I feel about this farm. You just open more maps, and you'll get the same amount of strong boxes. Um, so yeah, I think like I said, most of the people that are interested in this have probably already seen the stream. So I'll redirect you back to there if you have more questions. Check out the timestamps, but yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about them and how the farm is operating. If you're looking to get into it, give you some ideas about how to craft idols at a much cheaper uh, budget, and hopefully get you right in the Hinocor's locks, you know, House of Mirrors, and all the other good stuff that I've been seeing people grabbing from switching over to the strategy. Oh, and quantity versus Arcanist versus Diviners. That's right. I think that you want to have 50-50 Arcanist slash Diviners over a single 70. You get 100% box conversion. It's better. Do you want quantity? How many quantity medium idols do you want? I don't know, to be honest. I tested with 40% quantity. I'm probably going to do another 200 tests with 60% quantity and see if there's a noticeable difference, see if the diminishing returns have any effect, which there are diminishing returns, I do believe, based on the little testing that I did. So you don't want to scale your Arcanists and your Diviners all the way up with all your minor idols. You want to sacrifice a few slots for 20% quantity, which is great because they're significantly cheaper. So yeah, I'll probably do another test, and I'll get some better numbers. This is what I know for now. And as always, I'm learning as we go, just like everyone else. So